I'm definitely skinny. Skinny.
Don't breathe.
No. Okay. We made it somehow.
So, where there's a will, there's a way.
This is hard. Oh, I'm sorry. I touched you.
Oh, how dare you?
Oh, and then immediately I'm not comfortable. Immediately I'm like, this is not how I'm sitting.
Like, nope, gotta move.
I'm never comfortable, ever in my life.
That sounds distressing.
Yeah, like I'm like, I put a jacket on and then I immediately take it off like literally 2 minutes later.
On and off, on and off, on and off.
Constantly.
It's me at work too.
I'm just like.
Well, because I work in an office with other guys.
Yuck.
And men typically run hotter than women. So we keep the air pretty cool, like way colder than, it's probably 2 or 3 degrees colder than what I would prefer it to be.
Yeah.
So I literally keep a space heater under my desk.
Yep.
And a sweater on the back of my chair year round.
Yeah.
And I have on 110 degree days this summer, I have had my sweater on, my heat on under my desk because I'm cold.
Yeah, it gets like really cold. That's how we are. Except like really in the office, it's mostly the chicks, but the guys are out in the warehouse. And then when they come in, they'll be like, why is it not freezing in here for me to cool down? Which, valid, I get it. So, yeah.
They need a cool down room.
Yeah, we need to just build that. And we're like, guys, contact corporate. We need a cool down room.
And it's going to look like a little prison cell. You're in quarantine. Just like go in there.
Go in there. Get away from me. There's just been a lot. We haven't been here in weeks.
We haven't even really seen each other much.
No.
Or talked much.
Pretty much. I'm like, Anna goes, here's work for you. And I'm like, thanks. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. We're not best friends anymore.
Podcast is over. No. So here we are.
And we're going to talk about
a lot. If we can get there. Now I'm just like, well, the excitement of what I wanted to say is gone.
Oh, no.
I don't even remember what it was.
Bring it back. You have a list. You made a list.
I did. I guess that's what this is for.
Yeah.
I ordered all this stuff for this. Oh, shit.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, we put all this effort into this podcast set.
Oh, I'm like, literally, even if we got sick of each other, like, it's just too bad.
No.
We put too much money into this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, both of us. It's like, no.
We're committed.
Yeah, I have lots of things we could talk about. But I wonder what we should talk about first. What were we talking about that was kind of funny, though? Before we started. And then you told me to be quiet.
Donald Trump.
We talked about
the
rats. We talked about Amber Heard. Twilight. Ariana Grande. All these things have things in common. All of them somehow like correlate.
Rats, Donald Trump, Amber Heard,
Johnny Depp,
Ulta, Ariana Grande.
Scooter Braun, Twilight, VSU. Yeah. You have your friendship bracelets on.
I made some more. So the other day after work, I was like, it had been in my head. I'm like, I wanted to make some more. And so while I was watching.
I'm judging you.
It's okay. While I was watching The Good Wife, I made a couple more. So I made one that says covered in you because I needed something relevant to Ivy because I wanted to make it all green. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me pull something from that song. And so that's I like that lyric. And then I made one that says Swiftie.
That's cute. Oh, yeah, your wife had one.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm judging you, but mostly because, yesterday I took it personal when you didn't text me back for a long time when I said, when is the episode going up? And I even put the words we as if like it was up to me now.
When are we putting?
When are we? Anna does this thing where she just won't reply. And like even the like other thing. So I was like, I knew she didn't want to answer me. And so then all at once she answered even like some of the funny videos I sent her and that at the same time. And I was like, I guess she finally was like, I guess I have to because I got to see this bitch tomorrow. I just know you.
She's trying really hard not to spray she goes out everywhere.
So when she says, so I made these. I'm like, what about our thumbnails? When she got home from work. But those are cute. So I forget.
Listen.
First it was me.
I wanted to do this.
So literally I was like, maybe I should look at how to do thumbnails. So I started to look it up and I was like.
It's not hard.
And then I was
it's just sitting down to do it.
But then I was like, I know you though. So at least in my mind I do. Because I was like, okay, so what if I do and I send her options and then she gets offended that I did it when it's her thing? Because I see that happening too.
You're like,
Where you're like, well, I'm just gonna do it. And I'm like, okay.
But you didn't though.
Listen, we all have our things. It took me a month to like, or a month and a half, however long for that one episode. So it's just been rough. I feel like So to the like astrology girlies or dudes, whoever.
You can be a dude and be a girly. No, I'm serious
girly.
because like
what's a girl? What is a girly?
I think that a girly is like a person who is part of a group. It's when you're part of a group of people. Like, you know how there's you can be like a surf bro and not be a guy, you know, or you can be like a
gym bro,
yeah,
and be a girl.
So I think you can be a girly. You can be an astrology girly and not be a girl. Yeah. I think it's just a different word for like a person who's like part of a group. Like, you know how there's like a herd of whatever. A herd, like, or I was going to say a herd of cattle.
I was like, girlies are just herds.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the same thing.
They're like a murder of crows or a gang of cats or we've talked about this before. There's different words for different groups of animals.
I deleted it if we did. I Sherlocked that shit. It's gone.
There's something that's like a Sherlock of something. No, I swear to God.
I'm that. Whatever it is, that's me. But no, what I was gonna say, so the astrology girlies, everybody, what the fuck is going on? Life is really hard right now. Can you please explain to me what's going on? I feel like I'm tired all the time. I'm miserable. Oh, did I tell you this? My chin started to twitch. I took a video of it. There's a video.
It just started like
this right here.
Your muscle?
Right here. It was going twitch, twitch, twitch. It was actually twitching.
I get like that when I start working a lot and staring at computer screens, and I get stressed out at work when I'm like working overtime and stuff. My eyes, like above and below, like all around my eye socket will just start like twitching. And I'm like,
am I gonna die?
Pretty much.
That's how I felt.
You're like, why are we doing this? Stop it.
No, literally. So, because I'm used to like my eyebrow or my eyelid. Mm-hmm. This was new. And then last week, right here on my arm, like in my bicep, like the inner part of my bicep, or maybe, no, I think it was here. So what's this one?
It's the inner part of your elbow? Oh, no, that's your,
what's this?
I don't fucking know.
Whatever this part is on, if you're audio, can't tell you what I'm pointing at.
It is your forearm, but closer to your elbow and toward the inner part of your elbow.
Where it bends in. So anyway, right here. That started twitching, and I was like, what's happening? So please tell me what's going on. Are
we dehydrated?
Are we in like retrograde? No.
And you're tense.
It's astrology
Your chin probably started twitching because you're probably tensing your jaw.
I think that this
teeth.
has to do with the universe, and it's not my fault.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing that I've done.
Personally.
It's not that I'm not drinking enough water or I'm not relaxing. It's something like external that's making this happen.
It's definitely the moon and the stars controlling your twitches. It's like the planet,
you know, like it's something light years away that's going on.
Yeah.
It can't be me.
That actually really happened millions of years ago because of the speed of light and how it travels.
Yeah. Somehow it's related to Christopher Nolan because of Interstellar and like wormholes and like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all that. It has something to do in that realm.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, Christopher Nolan, and wormholes.
All of the reasons somehow.
Wait, what's a wormhole? That sounds dirty.
Wormhole?
Yeah.
Did I just fuck that up? What? That's a space related? I think wormholes are like black holes, but they're like worms. No, I think a wormhole is... Hold on, fuck you. A wormhole is something. Everybody, hold on. Please don't. No, a wormhole is something.
I'm just envisioning like worms going through the sand.
What is a wormhole? In space. Guys, I can't type on this. Space! Okay, guys, thank God. I was about to be like, a wormhole is a hypothetical structure connecting disparate. Disparate points in space-time and is based on a special solution of the Einstein field equations. A wormhole can be visualized as a tunnel with two ends at separate points in space-time. So, yeah, so you could travel through a wormhole. So anyway, it has something to do with Christopher Nolan and astrology and like other planets, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's there. Matthew McConaughey's there because of Interstellar. All right. And all this has to do with my chin twitching and that part of my arm. So if someone could explain it to me, that would be great because it can't be my fault.
Let's talk about Hitler.
That'll make sense later.
I'm immaculately conceived.
I don't know what to do.
I swear I'm not stupid.
Take it or leave it. Sometimes you just want to leave it.
If I gotta borrow my mom's underwear, I'm borrowing her underwear.
You just, yeah.
Misa likes the Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not gonna edit it out.
Oh no.
I don't know. Like I think I was pretty great. Just staying on the
Sucks to
planet.
suck.
Why are you saying it with a question mark?
Clap, bitch.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Action.
And we're live. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jessica.
Okay.
And this is Why Are You Yelling?
Oh yeah, it is. Welcome.
Guys.
Join us. Do you know what just happened? I was listening, by the way. I was taking a sip of my water from this metal straw and it like touched my tooth.
Ew.
And then I got super paranoid because do you remember when Hillary Duff years
Yes,
ago,
I do.
when she got her teeth done, she got like veneers or something.
Mm-hmm.
And people were making a big deal about it in the tabloids. And they were like, well, what happened? Why are your teeth different? And she said that she chipped it on a microphone. And now like I think about that when I drink from a metal straw and it touches my teeth.
No.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to chip a tooth.
Yeah, I actually do remember that. But what I think about with metal straws is how careful you have to be walking with them. Because I think about this lady who was like walking down some stairs and she had her metal straw and then she tripped and then it went through her eyeball and her brain and she died. So that's what I think about. So I like.
Could a plastic straw not? Like, or one of the not the fast food plastic straws, but like the actual like hard plastic.
I would think I would think that I treat those the same way.
Okay.
Like I treat them like scissors when I walk. I'm like, not me.
Nope.
Not gonna happen. So yeah, something's just going on in the world. Like it's just literally constant stress. Obi had surgery. That's my puppy. He's 7. Wait, no, he's not. How old is he? 5, 6. Maybe he is 7.
You got him in like 20...
Got him in 2017.
2017?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's a baby.
5.
Is that all he is? Okay, yeah. I think Chewie's 7. Yeah, he was 2015. I don't know what year it is. Somebody pointed out to me that this year, like in 2024, 2020 is 4 years ago. I'm like, no, it was literally last year. What are you talking about?
I have no concept of the passage of time.
No. But time just doesn't even matter. It's neither does age because there's like another place in that, some other country that has like 13 months and not 12. So over time, like those people are younger, like, you know, by technically. Yeah. And I'm like, and that's how apparently it was for a long time till like other countries were like, we're going to make
it's
it
all
like
relative.
this.
Time is relative. That's why it's relative, or part of why it's relative.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm actually like 20.
Because marking the passage of time is sort of arbitrary in terms of like how we do it.
Yeah.
Because other people have done it based on moon cycles. And we do it based on how often the earth rotates around the sun.
Yeah. It's just all is relative.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So like if you're 30, you're really 20. It doesn't matter.
And then like 1 year for us is like several years for other planets because it takes them longer to rotate around the sun. But one full revolution around the sun is 1 year on that planet. So it's like a day, and like even a day for us is different than like a day on another planet because a day is based on how long it takes the earth just to spin around.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's all relative. So like if I go by Jupiter time, I'm like a baby.
Basically.
So it doesn't matter.
Oh my God. I saw this thing on Twitter, or excuse me, X, formerly known as Twitter.
I don't like that.
I'm never calling it X. It's Twitter. I saw this thing where someone, it was these two girls, they were friends and they were in a car on like in some parking garage or whatever. And so one girl in the passenger seat is explaining to her friend in the driver's seat, is trying to explain to her how like day to night works and like how the earth rotates around the sun. Mm-hmm. And so she's trying to explain to her and her friend's just not getting it. And she's like, wait. So the friend hops out the car, the passenger seat, and she's like, so when I spin around once, like, so she's facing the car, spins around completely once. She's like, that's 1 day. And then she spins around and then starts moving around the car and keeps spinning in circles, moving around the car like this. And then she gets back to where she started. She's like, that's a year. And then her friend was like, oh my God, are you serious? Like just completely had not really fully grasped it and was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And I was like, oh, I mean, good for her for like being able to explain something.
The public school system has failed.
Well, yeah.
Like, oh my fucking God. Like, good for her for knowing now, but like, what the fuck? Duh.
But I mean, you know, it's like, well, I think it's one thing to memorize a fact and it's a different thing to understand that fact. Right? Because so much of like standardized testing is based on memorization and not actually understanding. Mm-hmm. So you can say, you can regurgitate the statement that the Earth's spinning around 360 degrees marks the passage of one day, and then it rotating around the sun, one complete revolution around the sun marks a year.
Yeah.
But to actually understand what that physically looks like.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I just feel like I definitely was shown video of that at some point in my school career.
Well,
now,
good on you and your teachers then.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, other places clearly just didn't.
But then also like, my thing is like, how long do you actually spend on that in class? In terms of like, if you're the student that's out that day, or you're not paying attention when this teacher shows you that or goes over that one little thing, you can go your whole life not knowing and not really understanding.
That was a nice friend, though, to do that, because I would be like, what the fuck do you mean you don't know?
Well, okay, let me put it this way. Do you want to know something that I really struggle with besides maps?
Yes.
Time zones. And daylight savings time. I really struggle with like conceptually, like I know what it is and what it does, but like conceptually, really when you think about it I don't understand it. So like daylight savings time, you're looking at me like this bitch.
I'm like,
dumb.
This is not on the docket. I'm kidding.
But like when you think about like daylight savings time, right? Yeah. So in the spring, we move an hour forward. In the fall, we move an hour back.
Yeah.
What does that mean really? So we change our clocks, yes. But then, so we move our clocks. So like say in this fall, we'll move it back 1 hour. Mm-hmm. So what used to be 6 p.m. is now 5 p.m. Mm-hmm. And so it's darker earlier. But is time really moving backward or forward?
So I'm not the person that should be talking. You know how like you understand something in your head, but you're not the one to explain it? Like that's like me with everything. I'm like, I get it, but okay. I mean, because also like since the earth is like it's on a tilt on this axis. So axis on its axis. It's like, so at certain points in the year, there's points of it that are like, closer and farther despite when it's always turning. Mm-hmm. So that's why
it's not a circle, it's an ellipsis. So we're like further away from the sun.
Yeah. So you have less daylight, like that's why we do that. Yeah. And so it's like really like because that whole concept of like you're losing an hour or gaining an hour technically is only for the whole day, but it shifts time back until we shift it forward or what, vice versa again. So I guess that's why, in a way, like we're talking about time is like relative. It's whatever we want.
That's why I'm like, literally, I have struggled with the concept of daylight savings time and shifting time backward and forward and the whole hour. And like, are we really going forward? Like, I think about it too much and then I confuse myself. And it's one of those things that I'm never going to understand. And I'm okay with not understanding it because conceptually, like, I know that I memorized spring forward, fall back. I know how I'm supposed to change my clock in which season. I know like when I'm supposed to do it because of the calendar. Yeah. I know I'm supposed to do it. But like conceptually, like fully really understanding what it means when we do that and how it relates to time and how it shifts time, like I can't. I just I don't understand it.
I guess I don't think of it that hard. So like to me, I'm like, well, we just do it so it's dark or light or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was a thing. Multiple things. I have just random things we can talk about. Something that I feel, you ever just go rewatch something and you're like, oh, this is really bad. So I'm a Twilight girly. Grew up with Twilight, read all the books, was obsessed, Team Edward all day, all that kind of shit, right? I went to the midnight premiere of Twilight. Like the actual, when they actually
when it aired, came out.
Yeah, when it came out, like, when they had movies at midnight. Now you get to go see it at like 7 o'clock on Thursday, which would have been awesome. And so I was one of those people. Like, I have a distinct memory of literally, and this is, our theater now, you have your assigned seats, and that's awesome.
Oh yeah, we get those bougie like recliner seats, and like if you go in the big, we call it the big theater,
the GTX one.
Yeah, it's like bigger seats. They're roomier. You can fully like 2 people can fit in those seats.
Yeah,
I fully like curl up in them. Like,
but even like the smaller theaters now have nice seats. So it's just like, but no, these are like the normal theater seats when I was going to see Twilight, and I mean you were in line. And you had to run You had to run to your seat. And I remember my popcorn flying over my shoulder. Like, I'd have this memory of this.
It's just like,
and when I saw Twilight, I remember being like,
it's like Mario Kart where you're throwing banana peels and shells behind you.
Hopefully, like, bitches. And I guess I was like 12,
Get
13.
Him in the eye.
Because I was in 8th grade. And so I'm like, I loved it, right? And I've seen Twilight multiple times since then. It's re-blown up. And honestly, in a way that's kind of ironic because everybody loves it because it's bad.
My sister has, like, in the past couple months, like over the summer and stuff, has read the Twilight books. And she and I have had some discussions. You know, she's at an age now, she's 13, that we can talk about some of these things.
Riley needs to come on the podcast so we can discuss Twilight.
Oh, my God.
Riley, when do you want to come on the podcast? We can talk about Twilight. She
has some hot takes. She likes New Moon.
I don't hate New Moon.
I hate it. It's the worst one.
Actually, okay, as you know what, rewatching them, New Moon's the one where Bella has the most personality because Edward's not there. Literally, and that's where Edward's the hottest. When he's all in the woods and he's like, I don't want you to come. Which is like, so many memes spawned from that too. But like, he's like a hottie because he was not hot in the first one. And Robert Pattinson's hot. So it's like that. They had to try really hard to make him not attractive. And so I started to reread the book because I was like, it's so bad. Like, the movie's so bad, but I still love it. Like, honestly, I still love it.
It's the nostalgia of it. It's one of those, like, movies that becomes a cult classic sort of thing because it is so terrible.
Well, it's that, and I love the slice of life more in the first one to me is, like, my favorite because I love the slice of life when she goes to the school and you, like, you know, they do have like the teachers and her like friends. And I really enjoy that more than I enjoy like the vampire bullshit.
The epic, like the actual big plot.
Yeah, that's why like the Vampire Diaries slaps so good because there's so much slice of life in it.
Well, I mean, that's probably why too fan fiction for Twilight is so popular and was so popular at the time. Is because people craved more, I think, of those types of stories, the slice of life, getting to see more of these characters in these everyday scenarios versus like, you know, in the big epic battle against the Volturi.
Yeah, no, literally. Like, I'm like, guys, the Vampire Diaries is so fucking awesome. You have Caroline Forbes run up to Klaus Michelson, the literal most powerful being that walks the planet. And she's like, I need a prom dress. Elena stole mine. And he's like, I got it. Like, Klaus Michelson provides Caroline a prom dress because her bitch ass friend with no humanity stole her dress. That's fucking awesome. And that's why people love the Vampire Diaries so much. And I do think what Elena and Stefan had is 100% what Bella and Edward were supposed to have. And it just wasn't it.
So which we've talked about this a little bit. The movies, part of the reason they feel just like bad in comparison to the books, because I love the books. I've read them multiple times. Like, I was obsessed. Like, I feel I was on the Twilight train when the books were becoming popular, like way before discussion of movies happened, right?
Yeah.
So I think I picked up the first Twilight book at like a Scholastic book fair in middle school. Like, we're talking OG, like.
Do they have book fairs for adults? Is that
it's called Barnes and Noble?
Is it just book talk?
Really book talk? I love book talk. Because I'm like,
it's different.
I get so many good recommendations.
I'm saying like Scholastic was a thing where they're like, here are like the really popular books that people are doing, and so you're just like, you're zoned in. Like, going to a bookstore is just not the same.
I used to love the Scholastic, the catalog, because they didn't do the book fair all the time, but they would send the little Scholastic catalog order form home like once a month or something, and I would always beg my mom, like, please, and I'd circle the ones I wanted, and she'd be like, okay, you can get 2 this time. And like,
could you imagine kids nowadays are like, I don't want books, and we're like, I want books,
and you literally like fill out the form and you take it and your money like to the teacher, and like they place the order through the school. I'm like, no, it's so different.
God,
it's so wild.
The book fair was like the shit.
Do
they even do that anymore?
I don't know. They had done one at our friend Lauren. Her mom works as a in a media center. She's like a librarian at an elementary school. And I remember,
I think she retired.
Did she?
I think she did.
Oh, okay. Well, good job, Miss Cindy.
Yeah.
Good on you. Let's go.
Yeah.
Retirement.
Hey. Because she wrote a book, remember? She has a children's book.
Does she?
Yes, she has a children's book.
Are you serious?
I'm dead ass serious.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Okay. But no, so she had done like a when I was in college, they had done like a book fair because I remember helping out with it and like setting it up and looking at everything.
Oh my God, that's my dream. That would be so fun. I found one of my favorite series ever through that, and it was called Inkheart. And the movie was horrible. Horrible.
I loved the Inkheart books.
I loved them. I found them through the book fair, and I think it was because the cover looked so cool, and I was like, Inkheart, that sounds dope.
It was very good.
And then the movie came out, and I was like offended.
It was garbage.
I was so offended by all of it, and I'm still offended. And anytime you guys want to redo that, you can. Another book I loved was The City of Ember. That was a good book.
I know the name of it. I think they made that into a movie too.
And it was okay.
Back to Twilight.
Yes, back to Twilight.
But so you and I had talked about a little bit how like the books I remember really liking. The books aren't bad, but the movies, part of why we feel that they're so bad is because like Kristen Stewart is not my favorite actress. I really find her to be kind of like wet cardboard. I have not really enjoyed much of her stuff. Mm-hmm. In fact, the movie I've seen of hers that I actually like the most is called what is it called? Speak Now or something like that. It's like Speak.
I don't know.
It's like it was based on a book where basically she's plays a high schooler who like she goes to this party one year, like a house party, and then she calls the cops on the party, and then she goes back to school like the next year or something, and then everyone like hates her and they bully her because they're like, you're such a narc. Why would you call the police? Turns out she was actually raped at the party, and that's why she called the police. And like the guy who had raped her was like this popular jock that everyone was like crushing on, whatever. So like part of the whole movie, like she speaks very little throughout the whole movie. It's a very good movie, but she doesn't hardly speak in it. And like that's one of my favorite movies that she's done. Like I just don't particularly find her good as I don't love her as an actress. Robert Pattinson, I could take him or leave him. I guess he's fine. I haven't seen much stuff he's been in that I've been like,
I'm offended.
Great. Yeah. But like other people like you have made the argument like that they're good actors, right?
Yeah.
So you have these two people.
Kristen Stewart was literally nominated for, was it a Golden Globe or an Oscar for her portrayal in Princess Diana like a few years ago?
I haven't seen them. Also like 10 years after Twilight came out.
Well, I'm just saying though, I think because she was in Snow White and the Huntsman, I don't remember that being bad, and
wasn't good.
And I'm just like, because I know for a fact Robert Pattinson is a good actor, and I'm like, I'm not trying to call anybody out,
but like, what direction were they given? Because the source material is decent. You have these actors who should be good enough to handle this. And then you've just got this trash. It's like they're giving nothing.
The only time the movie's good is when they make out. Like when they're making out, that's real because they like were attracted to each other, like actually attracted to each other. So like that's pretty hot. But other than that,
but like what direction were they given as actors to do such a bad job?
I don't know because, and I know Robert Pattinson had a lot of issues on set where I think he wasn't always pleased by things. I mean he's been a pretty big critic of Twilight.
Yeah.
And I've seen, because I will say I do think Kristen Stewart, she's I'm not gonna say she's not personable, but she's not someone with an extremely bubbly person, at least like not, it doesn't appear to be, but she's not boring. Like in interviews she can carry herself pretty well, she can laugh, she can talk. And so I'm like, if you have a personality, which she has a personality, it's like, what happened? Because it's bad.
Wet cardboard.
And I mean, on both, I mean, it's just, the best actors in there are the daddies, Carlisle and Charlie, and who are both hot as fuck.
You even have like Anna Kendrick playing a side character, and she's great as her, like she plays her character well.
Yeah, she does. And I mean, that's why all the friends are fun. Because literally,
like even Mike Newton, he's a good Mike Newton,
and he's so annoying. I hate Mike. He's so annoying.
He plays it so good, and I'm like, but why are Bella and Edward so dry?
Because even Alice, I love Alice. Even Rosalie's good. All of them are good. It's
Emmett,
just
I thought he was a great Emmett.
He was. I mean, honestly, so many people in the movie are good, and then it's them. Jacob's not even bad. Yeah, Jacob's not bad.
Bella.
So, okay, when I went to go see New Moon with Layla and my friend Layla in the movies, because they do flashback cinema. And so I dressed up. I had my Black Combat booth because I was trying to emulate Jacob, because I told her I was going to dress up as Jacob. And so I had my long hair, and which I mean, I just have. So that wasn't something I put on. But and a black tank top, and I had a jacket because I was emulating one of his looks. And then when I saw her, we got like literally like we're going to buy food, and I go, Layla, where the hell have you been, loca? Like as loud as I could. And I'm like, it's just so epic. Bella, where the hell have you been, loca? Yep, there's a really big emphasis on the bin. Bin, loca. It's fucking iconic. But no, I don't know. It's just bad. Like, I do want to know, like, what did you tell them to do? Because it's so
and
bad.
Then the choice of the cinematographer to make everything blue.
Green, no, it's like weirdly blue and green. Like, it's both. Because you know what I realized in the book? So I'm rereading the first book. And when she gets to Forks, she says everything here is green. It's like there's like a green thing, even in the book. So I'm like, did you guys
I'm
make
pretty
the
sure
choice?
she means like everything is covered in greenery.
Well,
not the sky is literally green.
Not their fucking skin tone. They're not green.
But like, and so I get that maybe that was a choice in terms of trying to, because obviously, you know, the coloring does affect your interpretation of the mood and the setting. So like, it is supposed to be in Forks, Washington. It is supposed to be very like dreary and rainy, but also because it's so rainy, it's very lush and green everywhere. So like, I get that maybe that's what you're trying to go for, but baby, you went a little too far.
It was a lot. It was like those filters you'd put on your like Instagram photo. Like it wasn't even
it's not subtle at all.
Well, because I'm like, you can isolate skin tones, honey.
Yeah, because even if you're trying to make them look so pale that they look blue, you know, because the vampires are supposed to be super pale, like, okay, but you don't have to make everything blue.
No, I was gonna say, even if you're trying to make everything look more luscious or whatever, like Bella, why is Bella green? I don't know.
This is not blue da dee da da.
Yeah, literally. But now I love Twilight. I do. I mean, it's literally a guilty pleasure. I'm not even guilty about it. I just do love it. But the music, iconic.
The soundtrack is so good.
New Moon has such a good New Moon has one of the best soundtracks.
I will say that is one thing that they excelled in, because like I can hear songs from that soundtrack and I just know like
it's a possibility. And then Bella's like, and you're just like, or the Bon Iver one, Rosalind, that's iconic. Do you know what song I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
The one that's like dun, 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 dun.
I'd have to hear it.
I can't. I'm not even gonna do it. It's embarrassing.
I don't know the names of the songs, but I know them when I hear them. But yes, it's very like the Linkin Park songs from the different album or the different soundtracks.
What's funny is I'm like, I know those songs because I just know Linkin Park. So when you were like, this is on Twilight, I was like, no, it's not.
And
I'm like, you're thinking of Transformers. Nope. I'm like, you're wrong. And then Paramore's Decode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just fucking iconic. But anyway, so I rewatched Twilight and it was a journey. I watched all of them and it was
the outrage in the theater during
Carlisle.
Yes. Which movie was that in? Was that in
Breaking Dawn?
Okay.
Part 2.
The outrage in the theater, literally everyone was audibly gasping, screaming out, no, oh my God. Like,
no, it was a lot. Like, if you were in the theater for that, like, you remember who you were with, everything about it.
I was outraged. I was angry when I saw that. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Carlisle's my favorite. I met Peter Fescinelli at a meet and greet when I was...
He's the actor who plays Carlisle.
He's the actor who plays Carlisle. And he was so nice. It was in Spotsylvania, Virginia at the mall. And I have a picture with him. Me and Diana have a picture with him. And I told him one day we'd be in a movie together. And he told me, we'll just show up on set and I'll see you there. And I was like, So it's still going to happen. But anyway, he was my favorite. And when that happened in the theater, I screamed. I was so upset. I freaked out, and thank God it wasn't real, because I was like, why? No, why would you do this? I was so confused.
They knew what they were doing when they decided to do that.
Granted, it was a good choice, because there really is no climax in the book.
Correct.
So it's kind of like, what else did you want to happen?
Yeah. Because like literally is that, and that was one of the criticisms of the books, is that it leads up and it builds up and builds up. And literally all of Breaking Dawn is them preparing for this epic battle, and then they just walk away. And I mean, I guess that is a choice you can make in terms of like, not every, thing has to end in this epic battle with bloodshed and people dying. Like, people can make the choice to like be more or less pacifist and walk away and settle it there's different ways to settle disagreements, but like this is a fantasy book. Like,
no, literally, I'm like, no, there's like that's like happens in real life. Who wants to read that?
Like literally what I thought was like one of the coolest parts of Breaking Dawn is when they're exploring everyone's powers, like all the different vampires who have powers and they're like learning the extent of them and what they can do. It was feeling very like X-Men training to me.
Yeah.
And I was into it. And then nope, didn't get to do nothing.
Yeah. So I was like, that was a good choice for the movie. Like that made sense and that was fine. Cause I'm like, otherwise, like you never got to see Bella use her power. It was like, what's the point? But yeah, that was it was a journey. And I guess they did the first one, the second one. So I'm assuming all the other ones will eventually be in theaters and I will be going to see them. Okay. Because it is just something, man. They're just something. It was, it's fucking wild. It's wild. So that I did that while on our little hiatus we've went on.
We take a lot of hiatuses.
We're not allowed to now.
So, as longtime listeners will know,
yes,
we have an episode where we talked about who would win in a street fight. If it would be Remy the Rat from Ratatouille or Stuart Little from Stuart Little. And we had a very intense debate about this. So rats hold a special place in our heart.
Yes. We also talked about how they came forward and talked about the rats in the city and how it was sounded like things Marjorie Taylor Greene would have said.
Yes. Rats were taking over New York City. So rats are actually still a really big problem in New York. Like it's a huge issue. Like these are like dog size rats. Like I'm talking like Chihuahua size, like massive, like they have a severe rodent problem. And I'm like, listen, if y'all just had some feral cats, if y'all like let loose some wild cat, they would control the rat population. I mean, that's what originally like cats, that's why they were on board like ships and stuff. They had like ships, even like up into like the 40s and 50s. They had cats that were part of the crew that they had made little like passports for and stuff. But they were part of the crew because they kept the rat population down. Like they killed the rodents on the ships.
I would be so scared that the cat would go overboard and die.
Cats are good. They got 9 lives. Swift on their feet. But so the city of Harlem hosted its first anti-rat day of action. And this was in, what are we still in August? This was in like mid-August. So someone said, this quote is funny. So someone named Ruth McDaniels, who's the president of the BUFNY to Harlem Street Tenants Association, whatever that means. She was quoted as saying, "We've had rats the size of Crocs just running up and down the street, like a Croc shoe. Your average size 8." Running up and down the street, multiple ones just running.
The visual in my head, I can't.
I'm imagining like a Croc shoe with legs, with little rat feet and a tail.
That's what I'm imagining. Jesus fucking Christ.
They took part. They basically hosted an anti-rat day of action. And they have a director of rodent mitigation in the city. Her name is Kathleen Karate.
Oh God, I'm scared.
So they organized like it was like a community sort of thing where they were deciding what to do to help get rid of and prevent rats.
Yeah.
So Karate said, quote, "Rats need food, water, and shelter to survive. Today, we're going to cut off their food source and reduce their habitat, take away the places they can live while caring for the street and making this block feel and appear differently." So the Department of Sanitation also reminded people that there's like, they have different, we talked about, they changed the schedules for trash and stuff, and told they were like limiting when people could put their trash out to the curb to get picked up so they can limit the exposure that it would have to the rats and stuff.
Yeah.
And they informed them the use of containers prevents rats from getting into the trash. So I'm like, are we talking like bins that have like clips on them, like securing them?
Do they just throw garbage out on the street? They don't have like the bins like we have. And just roll it out.
I think they do, but rats can still like. If we're talking rats the size of Croc shoes,
a size 8,
an average size 8, bitch, they can like my cat. He's bigger than an average size 8 Croc, but he can knock over my indoor trash can, which I know our outdoor ones are bigger, but like and heavier.
They're heavier,
but they're also on wheels. So like if you just tip it, I mean,
guys, I'm done.
Like, can you just imagine like a rat running up to the trash can and like hitting it, like not to knock it over, like leaping.
It's like isn't the teacher in Ninja Turtles a rat?
Yes.
It's just him.
Mm-hmm.
He's like
Splinter.
He's the teacher to all the rats.
Yes.
In the sewers, he's teaching him how to get in the trash cans.
But yeah, so they're combating rats, and they're teaching people how to deal with their garbage. And I'm just like, but why that's like such a big I'm like, I feel like this is again one of those things where it's a multi-pronged approach that you need to combat the problem. It's not just a one thing. So yes, one, it's education and making sure people understand how to help. They can help the problem at home. But two, I'm serious about the feral cat colonies. Like, you need to introduce wild feral cats, like catch and release. You know, they spay and neuter, and then they do the little ear thing. Like, you need to, all these stray cats in the shelters that are being put down.
Just let them out and about, man.
They can be government employees.
They need to have little collars.
Little hats.
They're like, I got it.
They have ID tags that identify them as part of the government.
Honestly, that might be bad because if they get hung up on something, so like
they have those breakaway collars and stuff.
Yeah, like they need that, and then like they're government employees.
But they do like the notches in the ears for cats that are part of like catch and release.
Yeah,
they catch them, neuter them, and release them, or spay and neuter and release them. So that they because we have that here. Where like in the part of town that I live in, there's a feral cat colony that lives in the neighborhood. There are several wild cats that just walk around my neighborhood, and they have the notches on the ears, and they help keep the rodent and pest population down. I'm like, I can tell you, I do not have a bug problem in my apartment because I got 2 cats that like to hunt.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like, because in a way, I guess like you think about it, like cats will like hunt little pests like that. Like so like wild dogs, like what do they do?
Well, terriers, little like rat terriers. That's originally what they were bred for, is because they're small enough that they could get under things and around things, and they would catch rats as well. Because like your dog goes crazy over bunnies.
Fuck, dude.
So like and then Zara.
Anything
used to like moles. She used to go crazy over a mole, like digging in the yard and stuff. She could smell him and would like dig after him and stuff.
Yeah, any kind of small animal Obi sees, he's like, I'm a fuck.
Well, that's why most like dog toys are small, furry, and squeak. Yeah, because when they bite into them, it makes the sounds like what small rodents or small animals would make. And so, I mean,
checks out.
I'm like that. New York, you're welcome. I've solved your rat problem.
That's what it is.
Feral cats.
Anna for mayor of New York.
Of Harlem.
Just Harlem.
Well, Harlem's a neighborhood. I don't know if it's a city, right? I don't know. Don't come for me, New York. I don't know.
It's in New York.
Well, but it's like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's still.
I was trying to think. My city is a city within a city. So I live in. I'm not going to say, but we have a mayor.
What the fuck do they do?
I've never voted for my mayor, but I have a mayor in my like 1 square mile city within a city.
So you know how there's things that like we don't get? Cities within cities. I'm like, I'm checked out. I get cities within a county. Yeah. I don't get a city within a city. Like, I don't get that. I'm out. At that point, I'm checked out.
I don't know. So, Valdosta State University is the college in our town, our city that we live in. And it recently there was a baseball player who plays for VSU.
He used to.
Now, did they kick him off the team?
He's not on the team anymore.
Okay. Well, I guess he was on the team.
Oh, yeah.
But basically, the situation went viral on TikTok because he had a conversation with the baseball coach, which the baseball coach has been there forever. And apparently the baseball teams, which most athletic teams, especially in baseball, they are very strict about like their sort of like dress code and appearance for their players. So they want them to, they don't like their hair getting too long or like messy or anything like that. So they like, you have to keep your hair trimmed. And again, some of this does vary from team to team. It's up to the individual coach. But some old school coaches are very much like, you need to be neat and present yourself like professionally, like in a certain kind of way. And so they're like, keep your hair trimmed. They don't want long hair. Like you have to, when you're wearing your uniform, if you're in it, you're fully dressed in it. I mean, we were like this when I was in the high school marching band, and that was one of the rules we had. They're like, you are never to walk around in a partial uniform. Like if you're in any part of your uniform, you're in the whole thing, short tucked in, bow tie on, gloves on, like the whole thing. Because they don't want you walking around looking like disheveled or, it's a bad look for the program, right? Because they're trying to present a certain sort of image to the public. And so I understand that. And I get it. And I agree with it. I think that, but here's the big but, is that you have to apply the rules to everyone the same across the board, right? So if you're saying that, you require your players to keep their hair, a certain length, trimmed, in shape, whatever. One, you can't be too subjective with your rules, because if you're just saying like the hair needs to be neat, we get into a very gray area with what do you consider neat? Because, you can have some baseball players will let their hair grow out and get kind of like shaggy, and like the mullet sort of thing is very in.
That's really popular.
But then like if you look at a player who is black, they have different types of hair. They style their hair differently. And so if you look at one versus the other, if the lengths are comparable, but the style is different and the type of hair is different, and you're saying one is okay and one is not, that's no. That means that the rule is too vague, and your personal bias and prejudice is now coloring your judgment on that, right? It's shading your judgment. Yeah. And so that's not okay. So if you're going to have a rule, you need to be specific with your rules, and it can't be like up to the coach's discretion or whatever. Yeah. I think that leaves too much room for ambiguity, and people get feelings hurt, and then people also feel like they're treated unfairly. Yeah. So it's in your best interest as a coach, as a team, to create rules that are specific and applied across the board evenly to all players. Yeah. And that's kind of where the problem comes in, because the player who, so basically he went viral on TikTok because he had a conversation with the coach where the coach was like, your hair isn't meeting the team standards and you basically need to cut your hair. It's too long, whatever. And the player was like, my hair's shorter than some other white players on the team, and you're not telling them anything. So why do I have to change my hair?
I don't know that he ever actually says anything about white. Because I'm
assuming it's
what he's.
That is my assumption.
I think the undertone of it all is like the guy's racist.
Yes.
So because I watched the video and I have like this is from WALB, like the transcript of everything. So I think he was originally on the team and his hair was longer, and the coach was like, I'm not playing you and this, that, and the third at the time because your hair is this, that, and that, right? Mm-hmm. His hair's shorter now, because at the end of the video he shows what his hair currently is, and then a picture of the current like pitcher on the team whose hair is way longer. It's like right here
to the
shoulder, and this guy, his hair is like up here. So that's at the end of the TikTok video. But basically, so you can, from the conversation, you can tell that this was something they spoke about on the phone. Because at one point the coach says, it's like, I told you on the phone. So they already had this conversation. And then, he went in person to have it and recorded it, which I would have, because fuck that.
Oh, yeah. Especially if I'm a student on a college team and I don't know if this athlete had any sort of scholarship tied to his being on the baseball team, I don't know. But if it's a situation where like my education and funding for my education is tied to me being on this team, and then you're trying to apply a rule to me that like you're not applying to other people on the team across the board, like that's not fair. And I'm going to record that conversation because like the coach is opening himself and the university up to a lawsuit if they're not handling this properly.
Yeah. So at one point, the coach says it's not short enough to be on the baseball team, because he's like asking to come back on the team. And he goes, my hair's not short enough to be on the team. And he says, no. The player says, right now. And he says, no, I'm the head coach. Okay. I'm the one who sets the rules. I can set whatever rules that I want. And then the player says, or the ex-player, he's like, these rules, how is that possible though? I bet you $1 million there's somebody else on that team that has longer hair than me. And he returned the season with shorter hair, but in the recording he told that he still can't join the team. So yes, he had longer hair when he first, I guess, came, because he was from a different school at first, is my understanding. Then he came to VSU. Then this whole thing happened with like, your hair's too long. And so when this conversation is happening, he's cut his hair. And he's trying to come back on the team. And then the coach says, if you want to be treated like everybody else, then follow the rules I give you. The player says, I am following the rules. And the coach says, no, you're not. And then the player's like, how am I not following the rules? And the coach says, okay, look. The player then says, my hair is in regulation, because there is like a policy. So like there is policy, and his hair is supposedly in that regulation for policy.
So, fair enough if, the first time he's, released from the team or whatever, if his hair was too long and he refused to cut it or whatever.
Yeah.
And that he's released from the team, if there is a policy and it's specifically states your hair can only be a certain length to be on the team, okay, yeah, you need to meet the policy. But if they are selectively enforcing that policy, that is not okay.
No, it's not. And so VSU's released a statement because they're now doing an investigation into it. And their statement says, in keeping with the Valdosta State University non-discrimination policy, the university is committed to maintaining a fair, respectful, and non-discriminatory environment for all. The VSU Office of Human Resources is conducting a comprehensive inquiry into the current matter and will address any personnel actions that are deemed to violate university policy in the inquiry. If the inquiry reveals anything, we are progressing through the required due process procedures. So all that, okay. I'm like, it's just like, it's just like, what the fuck? Because like literally when he shows the picture, it's like, so you're either using this, you're either just racist, or you're using this as an excuse because you don't want him on the team for some other reason, whether it has to do with race or not. So I'm like, you're either using it as an excuse because you don't want him on the team for what, and I don't know why, or like you're coming across as racist. So I don't know, or just being super unfair for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those cases where I think that if you're a good enough player, if you're a good enough player, the coach is willing to overlook a lot, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of sports where a lot of players do fucked up shit. Like not even just stuff that goes against team rules, but like university rules, against like NCAA rules, like in a lot of different sports. But if you're a good enough player, they are literally willing to overlook so many things and indiscretions. And also willing to work with you to help you get you back to where you are playing for them. So like if you're a good enough player, one, it doesn't matter. The rules don't apply to you the same as they do other people.
No.
Which again is a problem.
Yeah.
But like, so there's that, right? So if he was a good enough player, it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
If he had a good relationship with the coach and there weren't other issues, it probably wouldn't be a problem as well, because people, when they like you, give you more leeway to break the rules.
Yeah.
They do. And like with hair, I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, it's a small thing that you're not going to make a big deal out of unless you feel like you need to make a point. Right?
Yeah.
So it's a case of like, I would say it's a case of like, if you show up and your hair's too long at a practice or game and someone makes a complaint and the complaint reaches the coach, right? The coach pulls you aside and says, or gives you a phone call and says, hey, we got a complaint. Like you're technically not, within the rules or whatever. So we need you to fix this so that you can comply.
Yeah.
You comply with the rules, right?
Yeah.
You're not making a big deal out of it. Now, if the player then says, fuck that, I'm not complying with the rules because I don't want to, that's a different issue. That's then disrespectful, and you are asking to be treated differently than other people.
Yeah.
On the team, right? So that's a separate issue, right? But then, like, again, if you are a good enough player or you have a decent relationship with the coach likes you, and thinks you're worth being on the team, then it's not a big thing.
Yeah.
And it can be handled, right?
I don't think but something I was curious about is it makes me wonder if there's something else going on, because I'm like, have any of the baseball players come forward and had an opinion about it at all?
I doubt they would say anything if they did.
Yeah.
Because one, this is a transfer. So it's not somebody they've grown up playing with or that they've played with for more than one season.
Yeah.
Two, my voice just cracked.
Woo.
Two, they're not willing to speak out against the coach or the university and risk their own position on the team or their own, potentially their scholarships.
Yeah.
And then three, I mean, I'm sure there is a racial component or element to it, right? Yeah. Because I mean, face it, we live in the South. This university has been around for a long time. Yeah. And I think that certain people may have biases that even they're not consciously aware of, or they don't think that they're thinking anything wrong by it. Yeah. So, and I'll give an example of what I mean by that. So say, you're on a baseball team at a South Georgia university. We're a Division II school, right? Division III, Division II?
I don't know.
I think it's Division. I don't know. I went to the school. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But so say you're, on a predominantly white baseball team in the South, and you're a player on the team and you're white. And then all of a sudden this thing happened. Everything's hunky-dory, going along great. And then all of a sudden this uproar on TikTok happens because a player who used to be on your team, who was kicked off your team, who is a black player, is now saying and making claims or implying that the coach is racist because he wanted you to cut your hair and then wouldn't let you back on the team after you cut your hair. And it's making this whole big stink and this whole big deal about it. You as a player on the team might be thinking like, why is he making such a big deal out of this? Like, why is he causing so much trouble? Like, it's just hair. Like, I don't get it. Why is he being a troublemaker? And they may think that. They may even say that, not realizing all the different racial biases that come into play when you have that thought. Mm-hmm. Because if you're thinking, why is he making such a big deal out of it? It's just hair. Well, when you're a black person, it's not just hair, because going back to, slavery, and even after the end of slavery and into segregation, like hair plays such a huge role in racism. It goes back to like, they do like the hot comb test, or like a comb where, if you could, publicly pass as white to get into certain buildings or into certain clubs or into certain businesses, like they would literally run a comb through your hair and like to see if like what type of the texture of your hair and if it could pass the test for you to be allowed in. Because if you had any, if your hair was coarser or whatever, like if your hair texture was different, they'd be like, oh no, you have black in you, you can't come in here. Like, and people don't know that. Like that's a thing that happened. And there's so much that has to do with like even like hair products for black hair when there were none specifically formulated because the hair is different, for so long until it took a black woman to like make some and, create some and start selling it. Like, and I think that was Madam CJ Walker, like hair. And even like there's so many conversations now in society and in like the work, excuse me, I got choked up. There's so many conversations now in society and even in the workplace, like where there's in certain states, there's what they call the Crown Act or like the Crown laws, where basically it's like anti-discrimination laws put in place based on hair, like saying that employers cannot discriminate against employees based on their hair because, black people with afros or natural hair or locks or, different like twists and stuff. Some employers could say, oh, that's not professional hair. That's unprofessional. It's unruly. It's unkempt. Mm-hmm. It's not neat. It's not clean. When it's like, no, it's all of those things. It's just my style of hair. My hair texture and type and the way that I style it culturally, like it's just different from white people's hair. Yeah. So like your corporate idea of professional, neat, clean hair is Becky with the good hair. It's, it's straightened or it's like, it's my hair or your hair, mm-hmm. right? And that's considered professional, neat, clean versus somebody who has, wears their hair natural and kinky, curly hair and stuff like that. Like, so all these things around hair, it is a very like sensitive topic for mm-hmm. Black people in particular. And it is interwoven into so much of our culture. And it has to do with racism. And like, it's such a complex issue that if you're a white person that knows nothing about this because you've never had to or never mm-hmm. been exposed to it, then you could understand. I understand how you could think something like, why is he making such a big deal out of it? It's just hair, just cut it. But like once you know about some of these things, like.
But the thing is he did cut it. So that's like the thing too. Is so I'm like, even if you wanted to say just cut your hair, whatever, if it, or if you wanted to say that, but like he did cut his mm-hmm. hair. So at that point, that's where I'm like.
Well, then what's the problem?
The problem? He
mm-hmm.
cut his hair. He showed how short it was, which it sounds to me that at the time, I don't know how long his hair was. Maybe it honestly was way too long. I don't know. But right now, his hair was in regulation. Mm-hmm. And so what I was wondering, the fact that like, it made me wonder, does the coach not want him on the team for some other reason that we're unaware of? And so I was like, I was wondering if some of the players hadn't said anything because they know other reasons they don't want him on the team, whether, not because they're like, oh, I don't know what the big deal is, but they know of something we don't know of. And so that's why they haven't said anything, because we live in such a culture now where people, they do kind of stand up more because you have more support. So you have all these people in the community that have already been like outraged by this. So if there really was, like, if some players that saw some sort of racism happening, I'm like, I wouldn't find it hard to believe that if something was going on that they knew about, they might say, and even maybe they're talking to them, and maybe that's why maybe there's just something on social media about it. But even like seeing no one comment, hey, I go to this school and I'm on this team, like it's the virtual silence of it is kind of like, even if someone was going to be ignorant and say something like, dude, like it's not that, I could even see people being ignorant and commenting, but there's just silence everywhere. So it's kind of like, I wonder why. And so,
I mean, I think it's when you're not part of that system, you know, in terms of like, you're not on the team, your future in education isn't tied to you being part of the team. Like, it is easy from the outside.
Yeah.
When you're not part of that institution,
yeah,
it's easy to criticize from the outside, you know, in terms of like, well, other people are standing up and criticizing. Why aren't the players?
I don't even mean like, I'm not even criticizing them for not. It makes me wonder. I just wonder why they have it. Because some people, like, even when one of the coaches from like the high school teams here was let go, there was like players that were like, but we liked him. So it's like, at this point, if you had players that really liked you, it would, you know, they're protective of that. So it just makes me like, I haven't seen anything personally where people are defending him or not defending him, the coach, so on the team. That, I mean, maybe they haven't, I haven't seen it, but it hasn't been mentioned.
I mean, they may have been told by the coaches to not say anything.
Yeah, they might have.
They may have been literally instructed by their head coach
to not say anything.
If you say anything about this on social media, you will be kicked off the team.
Yeah.
Like it literally could have been that.
Yeah.
Because you also,
as
a member of a, as a member of a team of a university, you are at all times a representative of your team and of your university. So if you say or do or tweet anything that is not a good representation, like they have like ethics clauses and like morality clauses in these sort of like, in these contracts and scholarship agreements and things like that, when you sign on to be part of the team, like, yeah, that's part of it. And so like, you could also be literally bound by, they can literally tell you can't say anything. Yeah. Or, you know, if you speak ill or speak badly of the university or any of its members, like, we can kick you off the team. Yeah. Because free speech is only protected up to a certain degree when it comes to like schools and universities, even if it's a public, a state school like Valdosta State is. Yeah. I found that I would be interested in finding out like what they decide or like what else comes of it, because that was bizarre. The whole story was kind of like, what the fuck, man? Like, goddamn, can y'all just not? So I'll find that. We'll see what happens with that. So that's interesting. But yeah, that's this episode. Full of and we didn't even get to everything. No, well, I just had multiple things that we could have talked about, and rats took precedence. Rats were more important. The anti-rat day of action. Yeah, the anti-rat day and what's going on in the universe and Netflix being just trash. Okay. The end. All right. Well, we'll end our episode here. We can say goodbye to everyone. We'll say bye. New episodes whenever, basically, at this point. We're supposed to be on Fridays. Yeah, we're supposed to upload audio Thursday, video Friday. So we're going to try and get the episodes out. The turnaround is a little quicker. Yeah. So that we'll film on Sunday, and then that following Friday, Thursday, Friday is when it comes out. So we're going to try out this new format. We're going to try it. We're going to do it. We're just going to have to do it. We have to just commit to it because we have to. Yeah, like we spent too much time and effort doing all this. So and when we actually do it, it turns out good. Yeah, it turned out pretty good. People like it. Like, do you know our last episode from season 2? We literally didn't promote it at all. We literally just put the episode out, and then I think we put out one graphic saying the episode's out. Here's the link. And like 60 people watched it just on that on YouTube. And I was like, oh, 60 people. But like 60, do you know 60 people in real life? That would like, if you mention to one of our episodes has like 400 views, and that blows my mind. Yeah. It's always the moment where we mention somebody. Definitely got to mention, what else did we talk about? Twilight. Oh God, yeah. I can put that in the thumbnail. Yeah. That'd be fun. Mm-hmm. Make us green. Yeah. Oh God. Okay, guys. Okay. Blue. Okay. So follow us on everywhere. Everywhere at Waypod, WAYYPOD. Yep. And we'll talk at you next time. Yep. Bye.
Bye. Oh, well.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss any future uploads. Talk at you next time. Bye.